It's part of us at our best. I think it's only part, though. I think we've got to put all of our bits together tomorrow to be in with the chance of progressing. So that includes our technical game. That includes, obviously, the speed, physicality that's been mentioned. But the details, I think the details of this game are going to be important, dealing with their strengths and also trying to produce our best moments, which I think when you consider the two games we've had against Barcelona, I think we've had some really good passages of play, some really good opportunities to score. So I think we've so far produced two really good games against them, but we haven't beaten them, so that's the challenge. Yeah, we'll have a look at him today. Today's the first day we've seen him. So an opportunity for hopefully him to train if he feels strong enough, and then we'll make a decision tomorrow.
Thanks, Keith. Lee Ryder?
Yeah, Eddie, on Sandro, there was obviously a lot of stuff in the newspapers the other day about his agent speaking again. Is that something that frustrates you? And also one of the things that was in the interview was basically saying that he could be using Newcastle as a stepping stone to go to an even bigger club. What's your take on all that stuff at the moment?
I think the person that for me matters the most in this is Sandro. So I prefer to take my lead from him. And all I've ever seen from Sandro is someone who's totally committed, very much part of the team, very selfless at times. He's here for the team, he's not necessarily here for himself. This is the attitude that I've seen from him. And of course, he had a really difficult moment when he first joined, and he showed real strength of character to get through that. So I think whenever you're in this situation, you're really led by the player. And as I say, forget the noise around Sandro. He's just fully committed, and of course he's been ill the last few days, but before then he was fully committed in trying to help us reproduce our best league form. And of course he wants to do really well in this competition.
Thank you. Damien Spellman?
Thank you. Hi, Eddie. You described last week's game as the biggest game in Newcastle's recent history. Would a win tomorrow night be the biggest of your managerial career?
I know everyone likes to put a label on these things. Yeah, it probably would. But it's irrelevant really thinking about it, talking about it, because that's the outcome. At the moment, we're still very much in the preparation phase, so we're trying to make sure that we get all of our game plan, tactical delivery, individual performances to the right level. Afterwards will take care of itself. So my thoughts and everyone's thoughts, the players' thoughts, are just trying to deliver our best and trying to time sort of our best performances for the big moments, and of course that's tomorrow.
Thank you. Go to Craig Hall and then to Martin Hardy, please. Craig?
Hi, Eddie. It's a similar theme really in many ways, but does winning tomorrow and the prospect of that keep alive not only this season, but this version of Newcastle, if you like, if you go out of the competition with perhaps a little prospect of qualifying for it again next year, it might just act as a punctuation mark in many ways on this period of the club's history. The point I'm making is there's so much riding on it to keep that story alive, that journey you're on at the moment.
Yeah, I understand the question. I think for me in these moments you can't think too deep about, as I said earlier, about outcomes, about what happens after, about what may lead on into the summer. It's all about the here and now, and the here and now is trying to prepare the game as best we can. A lot of work's gone into these two games, as it does with every game that we have to play now, because to give the players the best chance of winning the game, a lot of work goes in beforehand. So that's all we're focused on. I really don't like sort of answering hypothetical questions of what the future may hold. Win or lose, the game goes on. We have another massive, massive game at the weekend. So I don't really want to heap too much pressure on the players. Just want them to try and execute the best performance that they can.
Thank you. Martin Hardy?
Hi Eddie. You've been a head coach or a manager for 17 years, I think. Is tomorrow night something you've dreamt about, and what will it mean to you to lead your team out at the new camp? Is this as big as just about as big as it's been for you so far?
Yeah, as I said to Damien's question, it probably is, but it's not something I've not given any time to, because it's another game. It's the process that you go through before each game is the same, regardless of where you're playing, regardless of the size of the competition. We try to do the same things. We try to treat every game as if it is a Champions League final without using cliches. So we'll do the work in the same way. We're preparing the same way. Yes, we're in a different environment, one we've never been to before. We'll enjoy the game when it comes, but we'll only truly enjoy it if we deliver what we know we need to deliver. And I think we're in a good place to do that. I think the players are probably as confident as they've been at any stage this season. With our recent performances, I think have been really strong. The individuals within our team are performing at a really high level as well. That hasn't always been the case this season. So hopefully we're peaking at the right time, but we need everything to go our way tomorrow. We know how good Barcelona are. We don't underestimate the size of the task, but we believe in ourselves at the same time.
Jordan Cronin, then the gentleman just behind you, please.
Hi, Eddie. Just how is Joe Willock after coming off on Saturday, and is Lewis Miley with the squad as well?
No, Louis not with the squad, unfortunately. He's trained at home today, so we're probably looking at the other side of the international break for Louis now. It's just taken a little bit longer than we hoped. Joe Willock has travelled with us. We'll have a look at him in training today. Fingers crossed he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Eddie, you were talking about how you want to try and treat this as a normal game and not look at it differently and not allow yourself to think, this is Barcelona, this is the Camp Nou and so on. How important is it that you ensure that your players do that as well, that they don't walk out there and go, bloody hell, look at this?
Yeah, I don't think they will. I think we've got an experienced group, many players who have played in so many big games now, we've become accustomed to it. So I think for the players it's slightly different than it is for me. I'm preparing a game. I'm not going out there and playing. So you almost want that size of the game to lift the players and to make us grow. Certainly we can't shrink with the size of the game, but many internationals within the squad, I don't see that as an issue. It's just making sure from my side we get the plan right. They've got a lot of dangerous players that we need to deal with, so we need the concentration to be where it should be and where it needs to be. But also, we've got enough players that can cause them problems the other way, and we've shown that in the 2 games against them, so we have to find a way to get them in the game as well.
Thank you. Nisha Joshi.
Hi Eddie, filming with fans today, there's such a sense of pride at the Champions League journey this season and optimism ahead of the game. Are those feelings that you and the players share, I guess, without getting carried away?
I think you have to be optimistic, I think you have to be positive, and that's why the Chelsea result and performance was so important. We proved to ourselves that we can keep clean sheets, that we can defend our goal really well. That feeling of winning that we've taken into this game, the atmosphere the last couple of days around the training ground has been really strong. There's a real unity as well, I feel, between the players at the moment. I think we're as good a place as we've been at any stage this season, both on and off the pitch. So I think we had to be in this position to give ourselves the best chance. And now we've just got to go and deliver.
Thank you. Charlie Wyatt.
Eddie, you mentioned about having the players that can hurt Barcelona. How important is it for the team to really be on the front foot tomorrow? Because often we've seen many times teams come here, either freeze or just be defensive, and it has got a bit messy. So will that be the message to your team to really sort of push it and be on the front foot?
We'll try and be ourselves. I think we're going to need a bit of everything tomorrow. So we're going to need certainly the defensive mentality we had against Chelsea, blocking shots, defending our goal, defending in numbers, compacting space. We're going to need all of that. We're also going to need a bit of what we do best, which is our running capacity, which is our athleticism, both on and off the ball. So I think an all-round game from us. We're going to need to be good at set plays, all the things that always contribute to your results, but we're going to have to do it better than any other game we've done this season.
Thank you. Mark Douglas.
Hi Eddie, we're going to hear from Kieran Trippier in a minute. How important is he going to be given his obviously experience of playing against Spanish teams? Will you allow him to maybe say a few words beforehand given his experience, or is that a plan?
Kieran always speaks and always has a few words to say. I think in a really positive way. He's been a great leader for me and for the players since he's arrived at this football club. And yeah, invaluable experiences he has of this league that we, entering the Spanish league. He's telling stories to the players and to the coaches about previous games that he's had. So I think his leadership skills, his dependability have been really important this season. He's been a big player for us with the injuries that we've suffered to our back line. And he continues to deliver some outstanding performances. And he's an integral part of our squad, so I've been delighted with him.
Okay, over to the far side. And apologies, you didn't get a question in Newcastle.
Hello, good afternoon in Spanish. Moltes vegades, quan parlem del Barça, et pregunten per Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, per la part atacant, però Pedri és qui realment controla el tempo del partit. Com important demà és tenir controlat a Pedri perquè el Barça no pugui fer el seu joc?
Yeah, I think Barcelona's midfield have been really good against us in the 2 games, and Pedri will be one of the players that has contributed to that. They want to play with control. They want to dominate that midfield area. I think it's been a really good battle between their midfield and our midfield in the 2 games. We've had moments where we've been on top, they've had moments where they've been on top, and of course they're the suppliers to their very dangerous front 3. So we're going to need to be very, very good in our midfield duels. The battle in midfield really will go a long way, I think, to deciding the game.
Okay, we've got time for 3 more. We'll start with Kieran Kelly, please.
Lewis Hall rightly had a lot of praise after the first leg. What have you made of his focus and I suppose his determination since then, maybe to back it up tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think the only way I can judge his response to that game has been the Chelsea game, which I thought he again delivered a really strong performance for us. Yeah, I'm very reluctant to build up any player after any game because you know you have to continually prove and give answers in every game, especially when you're a defender. The challenge is a big one for him tomorrow. This is going to be a really good test of Lewis's defensive skills, his experience, and how much he's developed in the last couple of years. I'm sure he's looking forward to the challenge if he's selected, and that will be an intriguing battle.
Thank you. Scott Wilson.
Hi, Eddie. Just touching on something you said before there, it kind of feels like in some ways it's been about 6 seasons in one for Newcastle this season, and yet where we are now it does feel like a lot of your key players are in their best form for what's maybe the biggest week. What do you think's clicked? What do you think's changed? What do you think's improved? And how happy are you with where your team are at right now?
Yeah, I'd say I'm probably the happiest I have been throughout the season. It's been one of a lot of change in the summer, obviously well spoke about. Early season, we struggled to find our rhythm. Our relationships in the team were new, or some were new, and I think that took time to settle into the normal patterns that we would work towards. Then confidence got affected slightly. We worked really hard to try and bring some stability to the team and really focus on performances. Of course, we've trained when we can this year. It's been a relentless schedule for us, as everyone knows. So we've crammed a lot in, I think, in the last couple of months, despite the games that we've had. And I think we've seen a bit of reward for that. I think the last few weeks we've returned to a really good flow. It's been a much better feel, and better individual performances have returned, better collective performances. So at the right time for us, hopefully we're entering a good period of form. But there's going to be no greater test than this game tomorrow.
Thank you. Last one, Chris Woff.
Hi, Eddie. Anthony Gordon wasn't available to start last week due to illness. How much is he chomping at the bit to be involved? Because obviously there's a lot of noise around that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he's one of all of the squad that, you know, everyone will want to play this game. I've got the tough decision to select 11 players out of the players that we have, and that's going to be a tough call because there'll be some disappointed players that will really want to showcase what they can do. But I think the message to them is, however long you play, if you're introduced late in the game, you've got to try and make the difference. It might be someone that doesn't start the game that's the decisive match winner. So I think they have to look at it that way. But Ant, on the biggest stage, historically for us, has performed. So if he is selected, he's one that we certainly hope plays well.
Okay, thank you everyone for your time. Kieran Trippier will be with you in just a moment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
any questions in Spanish, but you don't need that one throughout. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our press conference with Kieran Trippier. We have the usual 15 minutes. Keith, if you'd like to start us off down the front there, please.
Hi, Kieran. You okay?
Okay.
The manager's just said there that this is as confident as you've been as a team since the start of the season. He said it's as happy as he's felt sort of coaching you. How do you guys as players feel as you enter what is going to be a huge few days for you, not just tomorrow but the weekend as well?
Yeah, we feel really confident. I think, obviously we've had a mixed season. I think the Chelsea result was massive for us, of course. Seeing players coming back, obviously seeing Bruno come back. There's a really good feeling around the place. So we come here calm, relaxed, looking forward to the game tomorrow. It's a big opportunity and we know the rewards that we can get if we put in a good performance.
Thank you. We'll go to Disha next. Just next to him.
Your experience in the Spanish League and the Champions League, what's your main message to the players ahead of this massive game?
Well, I've been lucky enough to play it'll be with 3 different clubs. I played there quite a lot of times, so to be honest, the players have not really asked much about the stadium or whatever. I think if you look in our dressing room, the players have played in massive games, massive occasions. So it'd be a great opportunity for majority of lads who have never played in this stadium. I don't know if it's just myself, if I'm going to be honest with you, but a great occasion for the lads there. Looking forward to training later, get a feel of the place, and be an exciting game tomorrow that we're all looking forward to.
Thank you. We'll go to the lady on the left there, please.
Hi, Kieran. Elizabeth Conway here from BBC Sport. The average age of Newcastle's squad is much higher than Barcelona's. Given your wisdom, your experience, how important is that going to be for Newcastle and for you personally tomorrow?
I'm not that old. No, I understand what you're saying, No, but it is. We've got an experienced team. Obviously, you look at Barcelona, they've got young, very, very talented players. But I think, if you look in the first leg, over the 2 games that we played against Barcelona, to be honest, I think we've shown we can go toe-to-toe with anybody, especially the game that we drew 1-1. I thought we played very well. But of course, coming here is going to be different. But we have to have that same mindset. We have to have that same intensity to go at Barcelona, to attack Barcelona, to win the game.
Thank you. We'll go to the right of the room. We've got Lee Ryder, and then we'll go a little bit further back to Craig and Damien, please.
Hi, Kieran.
Hi, mate.
Just on this one, I mean, you've played lots of games in Europe and you know what it's all about, but what about the younger players? What will you be saying to them? That first half an hour of the game will be very important to them, I guess.
No, definitely. I think the most important thing is when you come to places like this, stages in the Champions League, you need to stay in the game. Most importantly, you need to, be calm, because it's going to be a good atmosphere here. It always is every time I play there anyway. So, but the lads are ready. I don't really need to say much. We've got a lot of experience in our dressing room now. We've been in massive situations in the Champions League. Tomorrow's going to be no different, but we know how can I put it? We know the rewards if we put in our good performance, stick to the manager's game plan, and I think we've got the players to do that.
Thank you. We've got Craig, Damien, and then Martin, please.
Hi, Kieran. You've been on this journey from pretty much the start. Now, in the last 12 months, it was 1 year ago yesterday, there was the Carabao Cup victory, and here you are today in Barcelona. Yet of late, there has been a little bit of noise and negative noise, certainly towards the manager. It's just been a bit of a rocky period in some quarters. What would you say to that? Does there have to be a degree of appreciation and recognition for how far you've come and you've delivered on those big days like a year ago and then being here now?
Yeah, obviously, yesterday we were obviously the Carabao Cup winners, but like you're going on about the noise, especially about the manager, it goes, in my opinion, it goes in one ear and goes out the other. I have great respect for him and for what he's done for this football club is remarkable. But like, as you said, since I arrived at the club, I never thought we'd be playing Champions League football again, I've got to be honest with you. And now we've reached Champions League twice, 2 cup finals, so we can't forget how far that we've come in a short period of time. But most importantly, we've earned the right to be in this position. So all the noise, all the negativity, you know, I block it out personally. I try and help my teammates to block it out. But, you know, this season, you know, it could have gone better. We know the results, but it can still be a fantastic season. So, as you say, all the negativity, for me, just goes in one end, goes out the other. And we just got to focus on tomorrow, can't focus on the negatives.
Damien?
Hi, Kieran. On a similar theme, you bought into this project from the off. Do games like tomorrow night's completely justify that decision?
Yeah, I think so, because when I first arrived in Newcastle, when I left Atletico Madrid, you know, I got criticised, shall we say. You know, I got a lot of negativity for many different reasons, but I had my reasons, as I said, when I first arrived at the club. So sort of, yeah, it justifies it a little bit, but for me, I have no regrets. I've always said that in my career, even when I first signed for Newcastle when I was 19. So it was important that the manager was a coach at the time. It made it a lot easier for me to sign here. So, but yeah, I have no regrets, never have done, and I always believe in every decision that I make in football.
Martin?
Hi, Kieran. You've said you didn't expect to be here in 4 years after you signed. Now that you are, now that the club is, how important is it that it stays as a regular Champions League competing team?
Well, when you're 19th in the league and only have one win, I don't think anybody expects us to be here. But as I said, we've earned the right to be here. But I think it's key and crucial that we maintain the standards that we've shown throughout the years to be in this position. This is where we want to be. This is where the football club needs to be in Europe. As I've seen and you've seen how many special moments it brings to the club, the fan base. As you say, I think there's, 10,000 Geordies coming out, so I think that speaks volumes of the supporters. They backed us through tough moments, and that says everything about the supporters, and it gives them a great opportunities as well to travel, but we need to put more performances on the pitch and get more points to finish in those European spaces.
Thank you. We'll go to Charlie here on the left, please.
Hi, Eddie mentioned how talkative you were just a few moments ago with the team. I mean, do you sort of take some of the younger players to one side and have chats with them, or do you sort of address the team, and what have you sort of specifically told them, particularly about playing at this great stadium?
Yeah, I think by myself, I think the majority know me by now. If I play or don't play, I'm always vocal, I'm always helping. If Tino's playing or whoever it may be, that's the type of character that I am. But yeah, as I said before, the lads haven't really asked me much about the stadium or things like that, but I always help the young lads. If it's Will, for example, or whoever it may be. It can be anybody in the dressing room. They know they can come to me, ask me any questions about anything, football or not. I think I have that trust for the players. I think I have that voice for the players as well. So that's why we have a leadership group. It's not just me. We have Dan, Murph, Popey, Bruno. So we have a really strong leadership group who have a great connection with the other players.
Thank you. Gentleman at the back in the red.
Sí, en español. Para Trippier. Hola, buenas tardes. Josep Soldado para La Sexta, para el programa Jugones. ¿Te motiva especialmente el partido de mañana sabiendo o que casi seguramente el Atlético de Madrid sería vuestro rival en la siguiente eliminatoria por tu pasado colchonero, o eso no tiene nada que ver mañana?
No, of course. My focus is just on tomorrow. Champions League about fine margins. You never know what could happen. Just for example, I go back to my Tottenham days. We had to come to Barcelona to get a draw or a win. Everybody wrote us off. And then we ended up getting Man City, Ajax, 3-0 down. We come back 3-0. So, and we get to the final, so anything can happen. So whoever we play in the next round, if we get there, I'm not thinking too far ahead, because you've always got to respect your opposition. Barcelona are a very, very strong team, so our focus is just solely on them.
Thank you. We'll go to Scott Wilson and then Kieran, just on the second row there, please.
Hi, Kieran. Probably a bit churlish to ask you this now, but the future, I mean, we all kind of know the end of the season, end of contract kind of stuff. I mean, is that easy to park with games like this and just think about it when it comes round, or is it something that you have to be kind of thinking about as the end of the season draws near?
Honestly, not really. The reality is we know my contract's up at the end of the season, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm just thinking about tomorrow. I'm just thinking about helping the club. As I said when I first arrived, if I can help the club get to where they want to be, like I said in my first interview, I've done my job personally. But I'm not looking too far ahead. The reality is I know, we all know what my contract's up in the summer, but I'm just focused on tomorrow to try and get the win, to try and put Newcastle in the next round.
Thank you. And Kieran, just next to him, please.
Hi, Kieran. You've obviously played alongside a lot of young players over the years. What have you made of Lewis Hall's journey here, and how have you helped him, I suppose, since it was quite a tough start for him when he joined the club to, you know, his performance last week got a lot of plaudits.
Say that again, sorry.
Lewis Hall, what have you made of his journey? You've come across a lot of young players over the years.
Yeah, Lewis is shy person at first, but, you know, I think his performances speak for themselves. I think he's been unbelievable. Especially in the first leg, I thought, you know, he dealt with his 1v1s very well. But yeah, Lewis can go as far as he wants to go. He's that special. Very good player, and hopefully can put the same shift in tomorrow, which I fully believe he can do. But, you know, he's got all the attributes to be one of the best left-backs in the world, and I think he is right now.
Thank you. And gentlemen here on the second row to finish, please.
Hi, Kieran. Welcome back to Spain. You've talked about how you haven't really talked to your teammates about your experiences here, that they haven't really asked. But how much of a difference do you see between the two experiences in footballing terms? And how much does that play out in the Champions League? So, for example, if you get a team like Newcastle against a team like Barcelona, is the physicality more of an advantage, for example, than it would be against an English team? Is their kind of tactical and technical control more of a disadvantage than it might be with another Spanish team?
No, good question. I think, obviously, I've been lucky enough to play in the La Liga, but I think the Champions League is totally different to the Premier League. I think physically it's totally different. But the Champions League is more, it's all about fine margins, especially at this stage of the tournament. You know, it's all about tactical. But Barcelona are a physical team as well. They've got some very, very physical players. Technically, it speaks for itself. But we've got to think about our strengths, how we can hurt them. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be an entertaining game. Two teams attacking to win the game, to go through to the next round. So, yeah, I don't think the physicality side of it, they'll be too worried about, because I think they're a physical team, like they've shown in the two games that we played them.
Thank you. And then just Dom to finish, please.
Hi, Kieran. You've given a lot for this football club, to this football club over the last 4 years. What more do you believe you've got left to give here?
I've got so much. I think somebody called me old over there before. I'm only joking. Yeah, age is just a number. I think these days now, with the nutrition, with the sports science, with how you look after yourself, I think age is just a number. So for me, personally, I feel good. I feel in good shape. Of course, I'm up against Tino, who's a very, very good player. But all I can do is give me all until I'm here. So tomorrow will be no different. And however many games I play from now to the end of the season, I'll give me all, as I always have done. And like I said, when I walk through the door on my first day, I want to give me all for the club. I want to help the club get to the position that we're in today. And then when I leave, I know I've helped the club get into the position they're in, so I'll be delighted. I won a trophy with the club, but I'm just focused on tomorrow. I'm not focusing on 3 months' time or after the Champions League game. I'm focused on Barcelona, and that's my focus, my teams and the managers.
And you've sort of just answered that, but would you want to stay at Newcastle beyond the summer? Is that on your mind?
There's loads of possibilities. You know, football's a strange game. But I understand and respect that my contract's up in the summer. I think it's not rocket science that everybody knows my contract's up, but as I said before, I'm not thinking about the future, I'm thinking about tomorrow, and that's just me being honest. You know, obviously, in the next couple of weeks, obviously me and the manager will have a talk, of course, but let's just get tomorrow out of the way. Let's put in a good performance and focus on not just myself, the team, to try and get the win.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.